Hey, what is up, world? My name is Theology. I am a video game music remixing producer and DJ, and I am a mental health activist. Most of you who are going to be watching this video know who I am already, but just in case you don't, there's my intro. As part of my content ecosystem, which I like to be holistic, I want to give a bit more variety in what I'm doing, and I really enjoyed the last reaction video that I filmed for reacting to the Patreon CEO about creator life and the sort of woes and weird challenges that we face and how I'm a small creator, sustaining myself right now. That was a fun video to make. And one night I stumbled upon this video by Kneecap Jake called Why the Past Feels Better Than Now. And as somebody who has made a career out of nostalgia, basically, I remix video game music for goodness sake. And, I talk about video games and mental health as if I were writing sermons about video games. You can check out my book, What Video Games Taught Me About My Mental Health, a layman's perspective, if you are so inclined to do so. But I thought that this was a very interesting video. I watched all of it. It was really good, and I want to film a reaction to it. So that's exactly what I'm about to do. Let's get into it.
Funny how just a single sound can take you back. Games aren't just memories, they're time machines. The Wii Sports intro music, the PlayStation 2 startup sound, the Xbox 360 boot up. All of them pull me back to different points in my life. Each console feels like a time capsule of a different version of me. The PlayStation 1 startup? That's Gran Turismo 2 with my dad, amazed at how many cars they could squeeze into just a CD. The Xbox 3...
I just have to say, I love the PS1 startup tone. That's why I remixed it. You should check that out if you haven't. And then I mashed it up with Ludacris because I'm a weirdo, but VGM gets crunk over here. It doesn't always in other corners of the internet.
College, staying up all night playing split-screen Black Ops with friends. The PlayStation 2, wrapped up in bed playing Lord of the Rings Return of the King late into the night. If I revisit these games today, it's like I never left. If I load up Metal Gear Solid 2, I still know exactly where every guard is, exactly where to run to advance the story. Even though I haven't played it in years, my hands just remember. But why do these games stick out more than others? I've played countless PlayStation 2 games, but only a handful instantly come to mind. The rest, they're buried deep in memory. This is what's known as the reminiscence bump. Our brains give special weight to the experiences we have in our teens and early 20s, the years when our identity is taking shape and our experiences leave the deepest mark. It's why these games feel so much more real than something I played last year and have already forgotten about.
That's a really good point. That is, I think, why Majora's Mask and games like Secret of Mana feel so real to me. Actually, the first time I ever experienced playing Secret of Mana, hold on, I have to get this real quick. Okay, the first time I ever played Secret of Mana, I was intrigued by the box art, okay? And I saw it at a game shop for like $100 back in the day, and I couldn't afford that. So I downloaded a ROM of it, and I played it on this very PowerBook. It's a PowerBook G3 Pismo for those of you who are Mac nerds out there. Yeah, and I fell in love with that game. And the way that I experienced it on this bronze keyboard, I'll never forget. But playing that game, even on this very computer, on the emulator, it doesn't feel the same today, which kind of sucks.
It's not just a game, it's who you were. When you pick up an old game, you're not just playing it, you're stepping back into the version of yourself who first held that controller. When I think about Dynasty Warriors 4, I don't just remember the game, I remember being homesick from school, lying around on the sofa, when my dad returned from the shop with this game in his hand. A small gesture that 20 years later still means something to me. Or Command & Conquer Generals. We had a lodger living around my house when I was 10 years old, and I used to sit and watch him play, imagining myself playing it. One day I finally got my own copy, and it became one of my most cherished games. I played every mode, every faction, but when I think back to it, I don't just remember playing the game, I remember him. The way that I used to watch him play it day in, day out, and the way that it made me want to get the game myself in the first place.
Wow, that's powerful. It made him remember a human. That's interesting. And by the way, I played a game like this way earlier in my life called Outpost 2. It looks quite similar, kind of building a city type thing, and there's like worker bots and vehicles moving around and stuff. Yeah, that's very interesting. And yeah, when I think about Outpost 2, it reminds me of the old house that I used to live in Indiana. And that was a interesting time, you know? And like, of course, my memories from that phase of my life aren't all intact, right? But like, that's what it reminds me of. And I have these vivid memories of playing it in a certain room in that house. Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess it was sort of like watching a streamer play a game today, just in my own house. But there's something else about that memory. The moment I finally got my own copy. I remember holding the case, looking at the cover art, reading the back of the case, opening it up and smelling that new game scent. That moment sticks with me just as much as playing it. I felt proud to have my own copy of the game. It's not just the games themselves that stick with me, it's everything around them. The way that I got them, the build-up, the first time I played them, and maybe that's part of why older games just feel more nostalgic. Nostalgia isn't just about what we played, it's about how we played them.
Okay, dude. So true. So true. It used to be so exciting when games would come out, right? And there'd be a midnight release and this like crazy cool launch. And, you know, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out 5 days ago as of the filming of this video. I know I'm going to release this in July, but literally, I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I went to my friend's house, Tom Spargo, the guy who literally founded VGMCon. And he had a Switch 2, and it was, you know, it's a cool system. Like, the new features are dope, but like, I wasn't excited about it whatsoever. And I don't know, that's a problem, man. Like, I love Nintendo. Like, I love video games, obviously. You know that about me, but nothing excited me about this. You know, and I'll be getting one eventually when Metroid Prime 4. I will be getting one eventually when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, but no hype, no midnight release, no nothing. Like, shit just feels like kind of blasé now, and like, I don't know, there's no events surrounding things. There's no hype. There's no... Yeah, it's not the same anymore, man. And that's really sad. Let's get back into it.
Back then, getting a new game actually meant something. Back then, buying a game wasn't just clicking download. It was an event. Just take a look at the hype surrounding Halo's release. The people outside waiting to buy the game are excited. It's an event. Going to the shop, picking the case off the shelf, bringing it home, opening the box, flicking through the manual. The first and only midnight release that I ever attended was for Modern Warfare 3. I remember rushing back to my friend's house so we could jump straight onto split-screen multiplayer. I used to love going to the local game shop and browsing all the potential games that I could play, and picking the one that was coming home with me. The very first thing that I always did when I bought a new game was open it up and smell the box. There's a distinctive new game smell that hits me with nostalgia every
I would also do this, and if you say you didn't smell the box, you're a liar.
time. That physicality made games feel special in a way that digital libraries never will. Those moments have gone, replaced with a simple download button. The excitement still surrounds new releases, but I think it feels more fleeting. But having instant access to your past, does that actually make nostalgia stronger, or does it dull the feeling? You can revisit an old game any time that you want, but you can't revisit the time in your life when you first played it. The nostalgia isn't just for the game, it's for the moments that it represents. There's a difference between nostalgia for old games and nostalgia for old gaming experiences. Nostalgia for old games is easy. You can emulate old consoles, download classics on PC, and revisit them any time you like. But nostalgia for old gaming experiences, that only exists in memory. I tried to relive it recently when Black Ops 6 was released. My friend had it on his Xbox and I asked if it supported split screen. Luckily, it did. And we had an evening of playing the new Call of Duty split screen together on the sofa, just like old times. But it wasn't the same. I still had fun, but I had been here before, and before was better. I was younger. I had fewer responsibilities. I had all the time in the world to play and level up. Now, I don't feel that drive at all. I wasn't chasing the game, I was chasing the past. And no matter how good the game really is, the past is something you can't reload. At some point, nostalgia stopped being a feeling and started being a business model.
Okay, wow, that hit me real hard. Okay, so this is the second time I'm watching this video again. Like, it hit me hard the first time, but my goodness. Yeah. God, that is so true. I remember playing, for instance, I have so many distinct memories of playing video games at my friends' houses because I didn't really get new consoles when they were released because it was always a money issue in my family. And, you know, I remember playing like PS1 at my friend Jonathan Didier's house back in the day. And that's like when I hear the PS1 startup tone and I really like close my eyes. Like it was in his basement that I heard that. The Dreamcast startup tone was in JD Robinson's house. Playing Super Mario 64 was in Andrew C's room, one of my elementary school friends. I remember the experience. I remember where I was, you know. Playing an Xbox for the first time was in Sam Knutson's basement. Like, all these people mean nothing to you guys, and I know that, but like, even if I were to recreate that, it wouldn't be the same. And something that I write about in my book is that I did this chapter about time travel. It's chapter 3. And I analyzed what 3 video games have to say about time travel. And my favorite one is Final Fantasy 13-2. The reason I like that one so much is because whenever the characters try to go back in time and change the past, they create paradoxes. The timeline gets warped. History and the future become really weird and murky. And the takeaway that I got from that was, hey, maybe we should just be content with the things that happened in the past and let impermanence be something that's at the forefront of your mind, which is a Buddhist concept that nothing is going to stay the same forever. Everything is going to change. Everything is going to die. Everything is in flux. And maybe we don't chase after the past to try to recreate the exact same experience that we once had. Maybe what we do instead is appreciate these moments from the past, but let them shape our future in a better way. I'll give you an example. So with what I do as a DJ and a music producer, and he's gonna get into monetizing nostalgia, and like I'm gonna feel probably daggers in my chest when he starts talking. But what I do is I use that nostalgia to give people a brand new experience that they've never had before, right? And to do it in such a way that it opens up people's hearts and minds to build community and to heal and to connect emotionally with others. That's a new experience, right? Now, we may have been doing this as kids, but we didn't really know it because we were kids, right? But now we're adults. And the people that I meet at these conventions, they're some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. And all I want to do is give back and help out because they've been so gracious to me in giving back and helping out. But yeah, maybe we need to aim for appreciating what we had and being grateful that we got to experience that, and using that to drive new experiences going forward, not to recreate what we did in the past. I guess that's my point there. Let's continue.
Remasters, remakes, reboots. They're everywhere. This is all part of the 20-year cycle. Every 2 decades, media and fashion resurface because the kids who grew up with them are now adults with disposable income. Companies know that nostalgia sells. That's why we've been resold our childhood again and again, redone, remastered, rebooted, reignited, classic, definitive edition. Whatever term that they use, the goal is the same, to tap into our emotions. They take advantage of the emotional pull that it has, but over time, it starts to lose its impact. Nostalgia begins to feel hollow. It's almost expected now. If you played a game 20 years ago, you're safe to assume that it will be remastered soon. It's not a surprise when a childhood favourite gets remade and resold at full price. I'm guilty of buying into it myself. World of Warcraft Classic, Diablo 2 Resurrected, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Spyro Reignited, StarCraft Remastered. The list could keep going on. Sure, there are companies like Good Old Games who preserve old games and make them playable on modern hardware, and some remasters are done well, but nostalgia has been sold to us so many times that it just doesn't feel special anymore. It feels expected. I loved playing
It feels expected. Oh man. Yeah, that's some deep shit. I'm not gonna lie. Now, the thing is, with all these remasters coming out, I guess the one positive is if you never played the game as a child, now you have a chance to play it in like super upgraded graphics and all that stuff. A good example would be Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. That was remastered. I haven't played that, and I definitely will be picking that up at some point when I have time, LOL. To play that, because it's I really enjoyed the first Paper Mario, but I never played the second one, right? And so there is that sort of like amazingness to it. But that said, I know what he's saying. And it's like, yeah, I mean, in our late stage capitalist society, some people just make it all about the money. You know, why create new IP when you could just remaster old IP? It's way easier. You know, you don't have to be creative. You just remake the same thing and you print money. It's lazy in a way. But again, there's two sides to it, right? Like, it's like, I'm going to get to play these games that I never played. But also then you could be like Square Enix, and well, which is funny because they're like milking the shit out of Final Fantasy VII's IP, which I think is really funny. But Visions of Mana, for instance, that's a game that I played recently because I'm remixing all of Secret of Mana's soundtrack right now. I don't know, like, I love the Mana series. I think it's great. And Visions of Mana was not a remaster. It was a brand new game in the Mana series, and it was fantastic. It was so good. You know, so if you look, you can find new things here and there in the gaming industry. They're definitely being made, but yeah, it's far and few between now, right? Whereas back in the day, there was just this like explosion of creativity. And, you know, I think that maybe in AAA studios, maybe there is some fatigue when it comes to creating something new, right? And that's why I haven't really done much support of AAA studios recently. I honestly think indie games are where it's at now. Indie games are creative. You know, they're new, they're fresh. And they're not as easily corruptible by the throes of capitalism. Or I should say late stage capitalism. Now, of course, there's exceptions to that, but I feel like it's a little less likely. You know, indie games are kind of where it's at based on all this. But let's continue.
The Dragon as a kid. So when I saw the Reignited trilogy, I won't lie, I was excited. When it finally dropped on PC, I bought a copy of it on Steam and booted it up, and after 10 minutes, I didn't even really feel like playing it. Not because the remaster was bad, it was actually well made. I just had remaster fatigue. The excitement was transient. I didn't even really feel like I wanted to revisit the game. The marketing just had me believing that I wanted to. There's comfort in nostalgia, but there's also a risk. The myth of it was better back then. As kids, we had no bills, no stress, no major responsibilities. The gaming experiences we had felt richer because we were fully immersed. No phones, no distractions, just pure focus. Now we have constant distractions. Phones, social media, second monitors, endless podcasts, the world's music on demand. Even when we carve out time to play an old favourite, we're not really engaged in it. I've been guilty of this for years. Before I even had a second monitor, I'd play a YouTube video on my iPad whilst gaming on my PC. Neither really got my full attention. The game became visual noise, just something for me to look at while I listened to whatever I was into at that time. But nostalgia isn't just a distraction. It can also be an escape from reality. During lockdown, I played Call of Duty Warzone and World of Warcraft Classic.
Okay, I have to say something really quick. Based on all that, what if there was this thing in society where instead of being the TikTok swipe up generation of short attention span people, we like forced ourselves to like focus on something and sort of do this whole exercise of longevity and focusing? That might be kind of interesting, don't you think? Like, and I'm even guilty of this too sometimes, right? Like, my wife and I will be sitting on the couch, when she's in town, and we'll be watching some kind of TV program or movie or whatever. And me or her or both of us will be on our phones as whatever is happening in the background is playing, right? And I will be real, for me, most of the time, it's just communicating and getting rid of messages and notifications. Like, I'm typically not scrolling Instagram while something's playing because I don't really have Instagram on my phone. If you followed my content or my journey at all over the past few years, you'll know why. I take social media apps off of my main phone for my mental health. But that said, it is kind of ridiculous, right? I wonder if people in society, if they started doing this kind of exercise of like, oh, can I focus on something for more than 20 to 30 minutes? I wonder if that would rebuild the muscle, so to speak, of being able to focus. Because I feel like at this point it is a muscle, and everything in our society is so catered to a short attention span these days, Oh yeah, it's such a wild question, such a crazy thing to chew on, man.
Intensely. These games weren't just entertainment for me. They were a way to avoid thinking about the real world. We had no idea what was going on. We were locked in our homes. What else were we supposed to do?
Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about is that, yeah, like, I mean, he's talking about COVID here, but he did mention earlier the whole, like, we didn't have bills, we didn't have responsibilities as kids, and so we were fully focused, we were fully immersed. And in this, time in history, COVID, in the lockdowns, I mean, we could maybe be also fully immersed because, like, we didn't know what was going on, but there was also this sense of bliss of like, well, I don't have to go into the office because I have to stay home, right? And, I'm with my family way more or whatever, there was a lot going on during the pandemic and there was a lot that was happening and everybody's scenarios were different, but I feel like there was this like awakening during that time period. And yeah, I love what he's saying here because yeah, we didn't know what was going on, but yeah, the whole like being kids again and not having responsibilities and having that full focus is something that like, God, I wish we could replicate in today's society. It would be so cool.
Phone was like a lifeline, a meeting place for me and my friends, a space where we could still laugh, strategize and feel connected. WoW Classic offered me something even deeper, a sense of progress. I leveled new characters, farmed gold, raided with the guild. It felt like I was doing something in a world where everything else was on hold. WoW Classic and lockdown let me experience something that I hadn't felt since I was younger. It was the closest I had come to being able to recreate the past. I was able to focus all my energy and effort into a singular game, just like I had done back in 2007. But then lockdown ended and reality hit. We began to go back outside and the truth was revealed to me. It doesn't matter how many old games you revisit, you just can't recreate the past. I had just lived through a new moment in my life, an epoch for many. It just happened to be with an old game and old faces. Lockdown has now become quite a nostalgic time for me, and revisiting Call of Duty Warzone is a stark reminder of the reality that we can't recreate the past. My friends have moved on. They don't play Warzone anymore, and the game itself has changed. It doesn't even have the same map available to play that we all knew. The guns and the gameplay are all different. I'm different. The game and I have both grown older and moved on. If I load up Warzone now, it just feels empty, like the soul is no longer there and I don't want to play it. StarCraft 2 is a game where I feel like the soul is still there. There is still a community surrounding that game, albeit a niche one. But revisiting this game doesn't bring the same feelings it used to. I used to spend many nights almost living at my friend's house, playing 3v3 ranked games as a team, sitting side by side. I loved these times. Playing a team game that you're passionate about with your friends sitting right next to you. This was back in 2012. It's been over 13 years since then. What used to be a mecca of friendship and working together is now a stark reminder of my loneliness, highlighting to me just how real the effects of a dwindling friendship group is as you get older. Loading this game up now leaves me feeling lonely and isolated. Although I could get one friend on to play it if I wanted to, the passion and the drive just isn't there. But something deep inside me keeps telling me to load this game up every now and then. In more recent years, I played what was at the time a new MMO, New World. It felt like the magic was there once again. Everyone I knew was playing it. Thousands of people were all starting the adventure all at the same time. It's now nearly been 4 years since then, and it's already become a nostalgic memory. Just a more recent one. The experience was meaningful to me because, again, it was a joint experience. Those I worked with got into the game with me, and we played it each night, discovering the new MMO for ourselves and learning about its mechanics. However, the magic lasted around 2 weeks before the excitement wore off. World of Warcraft is perhaps the game that most exemplifies the fact that you can forge new meaningful experiences around a game from your past. As I mentioned before, I started playing WoW back in 2007, and I'm still playing it today. With new content being released for classic WoW and different people to play it with, it's like starting the adventure all over again. Although perhaps it really just shows the grips that the business of nostalgia really has over me. Me and my fiancée recently played through one of my childhood favourites, Marathon Durandal. This game is the predecessor to the critically acclaimed Halo. I still remember watching my dad play this game when I was very small, and I spent many nights using the map editor to mess around making my own maps. I used to get demo discs from a Mac magazine that my dad would buy, and they would contain custom maps for Marathon, which were always fun to explore. But playing through this game with my fiancée created new memories, as she was very against playing it with me at first, but after committing to playing it, we enjoyed playing through it together, and I enjoyed playing through the game once again, and having someone to play it with. I grew up mostly in...
I have to stop there. Okay, so a lot just happened. I'm sorry, I probably should have stopped it earlier. But basically, the main point that I want to get out of all of this is him saying that you can't recreate the past. And to be honest, yeah, I'm in agreement. You can't, and I don't think you should try. And the reason I stopped it here is because this goes off of what I was saying earlier. Like, you can't recreate the past, but you can appreciate your past and use that to forge new experiences moving forward. And that's what I love about the convention scene. That's why I'm so glad that I got into it, is because we all gather and we all unify over the fact that we loved our pasts. We love the things that we experienced in our past, but now we're creating new experiences moving forward, right? And the second that it becomes stale, or the second that I think we're not creating new experiences, I'll probably pivot and I'll go somewhere else. But right now, yeah, no, we're creating new experiences and it feels really good. Right? All the while appreciating our pasts. And I think that's a really cool thing about the convention scene, personally, with the way I have experienced it. But yeah, if you're just chasing the past and you're trying to recreate it, you are no better than somebody who peaked in high school and who still like wears their Letterman coat, or like talks about high school. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, back in high school. It's like, no, don't be that person. Like, it's the same shit here with freaking nerd culture and video games, you know? Like, yeah, of course, you know, we're going to talk about the past and it's going to be cool, but like, don't be stuck in it, I guess is what I'm saying. Create new experiences and use your past to drive you forward.
Child until the age of 11 when my brother was born, I would often find myself playing games on my own and feeling very lonely. This allowed me to experience the game once again with someone, a game that I doubt many people even think about to this day, but has a special place in my ever-aging brain. Instead,
that is an interesting thing that he says, where he was like, yeah, it made me feel lonely when I booted up this game and nobody was playing it. And it's funny because like I'm the opposite kind of a game player where I only really play single player games. And I've only recently started like streaming on Twitch, you know, and doing that whole debacle and, you know, having people in a chat when I'm playing a game. And that's pretty cool. But I don't know, gaming to me, like if I'm playing a Final Fantasy game and like that's the story being told to me, that's like a personal thing to me. And like, I don't want to share that with anybody else. Like I like to do that by myself. So it's just very interesting to me that like there is a different type of gamer who like basically does shit online and they're perpetually online and they're doing this with other people. And I think that's great. I write about that in my book a lot where I'm like, yo, like the reason that some people get like addicted to video games is because they have that community there. And I've talked about this so much throughout my content ecosystem. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with seeking out community. In fact, you should seek out community. That's super healthy. Right. But it is just interesting, the juxtaposition between like a guy who like wants to play games online with people and like me who like, I'm like, no, this is my time where I get to be told my story and I get to do my game right now. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah, just the thing I want to highlight. Yeah, let's finish this video and then I'll give my closing thoughts on it.
Chasing the past. Use it as a guide as to what you want to create now. What you used to enjoy doesn't mean that this is the end. Make new traditions. Make time to try a new game with a friend.
Yes.
Experience something new while carrying a love for the old. Sometimes I stop and think about how the things that I am doing today will one day be a nostalgic memory. Making these very videos may one day be one of those memories. Every game that I feel nostalgic for is tied with something that has happened in my life at the time. For instance, when I think of the game Disco Elysium, now it just reminds me of my cat passing away. These days, I keep saying to myself, one day I will feel nostalgic for what I am doing right now, so I should enjoy it. Right now, I pour most of my energy into creating YouTube videos for this channel. I have been focused on this for over a year now, and it has taken up a lot of my life over this time. I know with 100% certainty that when it's all said and done, I will be nostalgic for this time period right now. Whether it's because I've moved on to new endeavours, or my channel may have grown and it isn't the same as it is right now, the work that I'm doing will one day be a fond memory of the passions that I followed. Even if you don't realise it, what you are doing today is meaningful, and you will look back at this time fondly. So don't forget to take a step back and appreciate where you are.
Preach. I love that. Oh, also, how am I not subbed to you, bro? Oh, it's because I saw the video on my TV and I'm way less inclined to sub to somebody on my TV. Yeah, that was great. Honestly, like, oh, there's just so much good stuff there. Like, I love in particular what he says about... I love in particular what he says about what you're doing now, one day you'll feel nostalgic for. And that couldn't be more true. So my wife and I have moved like maybe 18 to 20 times, I think, because we've traveled a lot for her job and we've lived in so many places. And it's interesting to me how I'm already nostalgic for that. Like whenever I hear the song Beneath the Mask from Persona 5, for instance, I am instantly in this house that we lived in La Quinta, California, in a neighborhood called The Cove, where I experienced that for the first time. And that is a nostalgic place for me because it is where I quit my like corporate adjacent job and decided that I was going to go full in and start doing this whole DJ producing music, biz, content creation, whatever in the heck I do for money lifestyle. And yeah, when I hear Beneath the Mask, it brings me back there. And I'm already nostalgic for that, which is crazy to me because it only happened like a couple years ago. So I guess the main takeaway from this is don't try to recreate the past. Use the past and your appreciation of it to create new experiences moving forward and to cherish the moments that you are living right now. Cherish them. Because you never know what's going to happen in life, and you never know how what you're doing today could affect tomorrow. And there is that thing that I have to be real about where it's just like you don't know how many days you're going to be around. And so cherish what you have now while you have it because it's amazing. Live in the present moment and appreciate what you're doing now instead of trying to just live in the past and to recreate that. Appreciate it. But don't live in it. Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on. So akin to how I hit subscribe there, if you like this, you should subscribe to me. But yeah, I mean, no worries if not. I only really want you to subscribe to me if you want to be here and you like what I'm doing, because I'm not trying to appeal to the masses. I'm trying to create a cult audience that actually is into this kind of stuff. Anyways, this video is way too long at this point. I'm done. Goodbye. Have a good night. I'm out of here.